Well, I mean, it really depends how you want to evaluate it in terms of which league is more likely to produce a Champions League winner, or which league is, if you were to put all the leagues together, whose teams would come out on top? How would they all end up in a kind of Classifica? You got all the 20 teams from each country and stuck them in together. Actually, it was a brilliant idea. But I think you would probably say the Bundesliga is really, really strong. I mean, they're not only financially brilliant, but they're tactically very innovative. They're well run, etc. Premier League is a juggernaut. And the Spanish league, obviously, is the Spanish league, and with those kind of twin motors, it's always going to have a massive importance, even though the rest of the league has completely fallen apart and whatever. So, with the best will in the world, in terms of kind of global importance, you would probably say maybe fourth, which breaks my heart to say, but it's not an accident that they now only got 3 teams in the Champions League. But in terms of other things, in terms of tactical innovation, in terms of spectacular goals, I think it's still right up there. In terms of openness to the championship, I think this year it has nothing to envy any of the other leagues, and it's certainly, I wouldn't say it's still back, that it's back where it was, because I think to find one league completely dominating the way that it used to in the 90s, it's not going to happen again. But I think it is, regaining its relevance. I think it's really important for us because from a British perspective, it's nice to have names that are recognisable. Tevez, Higuain are big names. Benitez going to Napoli as well. The fact that you had Juve playing Chelsea and outplaying them last year, and Pirlo playing there, and all these Italian players like Buffon. It's acquired a little bit of that kind of hipster thing that Borussias and maybe Barcelona's have had in the past. The fact that above all that they're playing good football, and people are able to watch Serie A now and see that it's not a question of scoring a lucky goal on the break and then defending the 1-0 for 90 minutes. It's actually really, really... the Italians have been very conscious of the fact that they've fallen off the top pedestal, and they really... When Juve, for example, last year were doing well in the Champions League, they were excited about the fact that one of their teams was playing like a European club, like a European giant. And I think if you look at Napoli this year, Juve this year, Inter surprisingly this year, that they are not going out there and getting the result. They're actually going out there and playing good football and getting the result, which is really important. And I think when you're in a country like England where you can see football from all over the world, it's really nice that Serie A is not just on TV, but it's every bit as entertaining as the other league. It's really interesting. Obviously, you pretty much have a new scandal every year, and the big one that everyone remembers is Calciopoli in 2006, which saw Juve relegated, and all sorts of problems as regards that. But that scandal was all based around the fact that referees were having unhealthily close relationships with club directors. And I noticed that a referee has just written a book here in England where he talks about referees having an unhealthily close relationship with club directors and people in football. In Italy, you have to say, they did go after the clubs. They did impose punitive measures. And maybe they cleaned up their act where other leagues haven't so much, Now, you've had problems all over Europe, and it does keep happening in Italy, and it is a real issue. They're well aware of that. There is a feeling there that there is a lack of sportsmanship, almost a kind of the Corinthian attitude of playing the game for the game's sake. So it's a problem that's been recurrent, and as you say, Stefano Mauri and that whole business of the calcio scommesse, which is just going to run and run because stupid people doing stupid things. But I don't think it's an isolated problem. I don't know, it feels like the whole racism problem is getting worse in Italy. That might be because it's only now that people are actually taking measures against it, which is a positive thing because it means that people are taking it seriously. They are actually doing something, hopefully, which is going to reduce it and maybe one day finally get rid of it. But for the moment, all you can really hear about is Lazio having play games behind closed doors. Same now at Roma, and Inter's Cura also being closed for a game. And to be honest, I think it's going to take decades. It's a question of people growing up in a multicultural society and getting used to things as has happened indeed in this country. You go back 20, 30 years in this country when we were further back in our assimilation of people from around the world. I'm not saying it's perfect now by any means, but at least we've kind of moved on down that. The Italians maybe started to have immigration on our level a lot later than we did, and maybe they're a little bit further, a little less far down the road. So I don't think it's going to solve the problem. That would just take time, but it's got to be seen as a positive thing that they're taking action.